So we have our wort down to about 78, 79 degrees. We're going to rack it to the fermenter now. I use this. I don't have a tap on my kettle. I'm cool with that. Maybe one day I'll build one. So there are lots of different schools of thought. I typically rack all the trub from the bottom into my fermenter. A lot of people don't. A lot of people like to keep it clean. I frankly don't care. It sits on my primary fermenter for a few days, and then I rack it the secondary. What we're aiming for here is to splash as much as we can, to get as much air as we can into the wort before we want to aerate the wort now that it's cold as much as we can before we pitch the yeast. When we pitch the yeast, we'll shake it around a little bit too to just get as much air as we can in there, and then we'll let it sit and ferment. Fermentation with a good live yeast. If you've remembered to bring your yeast to room temperature and shake it around and activate a little bit, then your yeast should start fermenting within about 2 to 3 hours, sometimes less. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to let this just rack into here, get as much air as I can, and then we'll pitch these. We've finished racking from the kettle to the fermenter. Actually got a little bit less than I thought I would. It's probably about 4.5 gallons in there, a tiny bit more. The one last thing we need to do is take a gravity measurement, find out what's the specific gravity, the original gravity is when we start. So to do that, you pour some of the wort into a container and you put your tool in and spin it to get all the air bubbles off. And once it's done spinning, you can go up and see what the actual gravity is right now. We are right at, I don't know if you can see that, right at about 60. So 1060 is our starting gravity, which gives us approximately about 7.5% alcohol. So that's good. This is a winter beer. It's a dark beer. It's very, very sweet wort, and the intent is for it to be very alcoholic. So now all we have left to do is to pitch our yeast into the fermenter and cover it up and let it rip. You can see there's a healthy head of air on top of the wort, which is a result of my really aerating it as I was pouring it in and then aerating it after. I'm going to shake it up a little bit after we actually pitch our yeast. As I said before, the only thing remaining to do is to pitch the yeast. I really like the White Labs yeasts. I think they make really high quality products. They come in these little suspension containers. For some of my brews, I've actually propagated my own yeast. I don't have English ale yeast, is what this recipe calls for. So I'm going to, I bought one. It's probably one of the more expensive parts of home brewing. It's the yeast. Just shake it up real well, get nice and aerated in its container. It's been at room temperature for the past 4 hours, so it should be active. Sounds active. Just make sure there's no off smells in there. And just pitch it straight into my wort. I've checked that my wort is at pitching temperature between 60 to 70 for this yeast. And then once it's in there, just give it a nice good mix up. Get a little bit of air in there. I don't know if you can hear this, but it's really getting sloshed around. Actually, the good thing about these fermenters too is that they're designed to have a tennis ball put on the bottom of them, so you can actually do this a little bit better. This one's a little bit too full to really slosh it around too much. I don't want to lose any more work, so I got actually about a half gallon less than what I was expecting out of that. And once that's all done, we pretty much put a plug in an airlock over it. I'm going to let this sit for 3 days. And now I'm going to rack it to the secondary fermenter. And that is brewing in a bag.